In Vietnam, coffee is more than just a beverage. It's a way of life. This country, the second largest exporter of coffee in the world, boasts such a rich cafe culture.
Xin chào from Saigon. We are Madison and Ivan, and we are so excited because today's adventure is going to be incredibly stimulating. Cafe tour of Saigon. I am pumped. Like, I've been looking forward to this day for so long. Vietnam has some of the best coffee in the world. There's so many unique and delicious preparations. And Saigon specifically has some of the coolest, most unique cafes I've ever heard of. There's cafes with war bunkers. There's cafes with koi fish in apartment buildings. There's more incredible cafes that I can even think of right now. We are starting off at the most touristy, most popular one, the Cafe Apartments. This is like 11 stories, maybe more, of cafes built into an old apartment building. The amount of coffee shops is like actually unreal. Like,
it's a very unique concept.
It's almost overwhelming trying to decide where to go in this huge apartment building just full of cafes.
Yeah, this one is cool, but it's like, this one is a brighter theme than the last Cafe Apartments we went to. That one was more grungy, moody. This one's very bright, light, very Instagrammable.
Yeah, the other one felt like, are we really supposed to be here? Yeah. And this one's like, no, this is definitely the place to be. These apartments were actually built in the mid-1960s, and during the war they housed high-ranking military officials. After the war, housing for shipyard workers. As the city continued to develop and this street became such a hub for tourism, people started to illegally rent out their apartments to cafes, and it became the bustling, beautiful cafe apartments that they are today. You can actually see like how the country has changed through how these apartments have changed from the war to like this thriving, enterprising country that it is now. There are over 9 stories of cafes to see. Luckily, there is an elevator that'll take you to the top so you don't have to do all of those stairs in this heat. So we paid about 15 cents a person to take the elevator to the top, and then we took the stairs on the way down. We have made it to Cafe Saigon Oi, and it is such a cute place. Like, you just walk in and you instantly feel like so relaxed. There's so many real live green plants everywhere. It's just such a cute shop. And it's kind of cool too because it sort of leans into like the apartment aspect of it. There's bookshelves and there's greenery. It's like a very nice millennial apartment.
So our first coffee of the day here at Saigon Oi is a classic, the quintessential salted coffee. Strong and rich coffee on the bottom with this beautiful, decadent, salted foam on the top. Perfect on a hot day like this, which seems to be every day in Vietnam. That is just refreshing. Just hits the spot. The taste is almost like a coffee ice cream or a coffee dessert. And I know that flavor is typically a little different than like a fine coffee, but here I definitely mean it as a compliment because it's just tasty. Like, sometimes you just want something that is absolutely delicious. That's what you're getting here. The textures from the foam. And not only does salt make sense from a like electrolytes standpoint, but salt kind of like opens up the flavor of the coffee. It's like actually a thing. There have actually been research papers on the fact that there's a small amount of salt that you can add to coffee that will like systematically enhance the flavor of it. Even though it is a simple and approachable coffee flavor itself, it kind of like permeates and like spreads all over and kind of like really entertains your palate even through its simplicity.
So if you saw our souvenir shopping video, we actually already went to some cafe apartments. There are several apartments that have been converted into places with a bunch of cafes here in the city. But the ones we went to in the souvenir tour video had more of like a grunge punk aesthetic. It felt like a real abandoned apartment building. It almost felt like, should I really even be here? Am I supposed to be here? Whereas this one has this like bright, very like Instagram friendly aesthetic. Both really, really fun. Like honestly, to me, I'm so glad that I've experienced both. But this one, if you've ever watched the Bo Burnham stand-up, the song White Woman's Instagram, that song is like playing in my head as we walk through the halls because everywhere you turn is just so perfectly Instagrammable. We have a very full coffee that is already spilled. Luckily, I feel like they gave us this little coaster because they knew that this might happen at Cafe Cheo Leo. So this cafe has been around since 1938. It is one of the oldest, most historic cafes in the entire city. And it's one of the only ones that still makes it in such a traditional way. The water sits for multiple days to like get the chemical taste out of it. They use the clay pots still. They actually heat the glass that they serve the coffee in so that they can maintain the heat of the coffee. We got the Cafe Sua Nong, which is this delicious, thick, strong coffee with condensed milk, and we added the Bretel Butter. We read that was just an absolute must. Like that is the classic way to enjoy it. It's almost like we're having like that healthy bulletproof coffee that people got into for a while, except there's also condensed milk. Oh wow. This is one of the best cups of coffee without a doubt that we have had in Vietnam. This is so good. When a place is around for 90 years, you know there's a reason. The reason is that they are actually creating and producing something incredible. The coffee is so strong and flavorful. The butter is so good in there, giving it a bit of a delicious texture, but also like really the butter flavors are in there, like accenting the drink really, really well. And the condensed milk, of course, packing that sweetness. This is phenomenal. Like, we serve it in this tiny glass because it is so strong, but it's also so delicious that I'm glad that they portion it for you, because if not, I feel like I would drink way too much. It's truly incredible. Coffee with condensed milk is Saigon coffee. We're in Saigon, but the last shop we were actually having a Hui coffee because salted coffee was invented more recently in Hui. But this is just a good traditional coffee of Saigon. And this is like the perfect taste of it. During the French colonial era, it was like really difficult to get fresh milk unless you were incredibly wealthy. And so condensed milk became something that they were really regularly using for coffee because the coffee in Vietnam is extremely strong and you gotta add something. And boy, is condensed milk the most delicious, perfect add. I don't know why this isn't a bigger thing worldwide because this is absolutely fantastic. And I've never had it with the butter before, but that's perfection. Such a good coffee.
But wait, there's more. The owner is so kind and passionate about what she does and invites guests to learn about their legendary coffee making process. She shows us the secret for why this coffee is so strong and the stove her father made when he started the shop in 1938 that is still being used to make the same traditional coffee almost 90 years later. It's just incredible to look at that stove and think about the smiles and comfort that has come from sipping this delicious coffee for almost 90 years.
Are you hungry?
They're swarming. It's a feeding frenzy.
I'm getting splashed. That's all, guys. I'm sorry. This is amazing. We have met some of the kindest people so far today. At our last coffee spot, when we came in, there was a gentleman. He brought us menus. He took our orders. It turns out he doesn't even work there. He just speaks English. So he was just helping out. He even came back and translated during the tour. And now here we are at this incredible cafe, the King Koi Cafe. I mean, we are literally dining amongst these koi fish. This is so cute and aesthetic and amazing. Like, this is without a doubt one of the coolest cafes we have ever been to. And this sweet girl, when we walked in, she was feeding the fish with some fish food that her family had bought. And she gave us the rest of her bag. Thank you so much. Wow. And she's like a child, like just so incredibly kind. Today has just been filled with the kindness of locals, and that has been incredible. But now, coffee time. They got their food, now we get our fuel. Our last spot was all about the actual technical coffee, being made in the classic historic methods with so much care and detail put into everything. This cafe is about this cafe. Like, it is just so cool and beautiful and aesthetic. Like, it is one of the most photogenic places I've ever been in my life. Talk about Instagrammable. So lovely. I just feel at peace sitting here amongst the koi fish. Like, I feel like these are like the Singapore gardens by the bay. This cafe has said enough on its own. Like, if this was the worst cup of coffee I've ever had, it's probably still worth it. When a cafe puts their name on a drink, that's the one you have to get. And this is the pandan coffee, which is like a melon coffee. We had to give it a try because it was the King Koi Cafe's pandan coffee. That's good. Since we just had the other cafe, it's hard to like compare. That was without a doubt probably the best coffee I've had in Vietnam. This is a very unique coffee. It's like refreshing, it's fruity, it's almost doing more like a milk tea. The coffee is just serving as this little bit of like deep caffeine flavor, and then the melon is really coming in. Nice, milky, hydrating, and cold. On this hot day, we say that in every video. We are always hot here. Refreshing to drink and just refreshing to be here. Like, it's just such a beautiful, relaxing vibe. People are being kind and giving you fish food to feed the koi. You get to dine, they get to dine. Couldn't have asked for anything more.
I think, oh, it's like, stop talking. You're not here to tell us things. Some of them make like a noise too, like a oink, oink, oink. Like, this is the classic way of brewing coffee here in Vietnam, using what's called a phin, and the coffee is inside this section here, and it's slowly dripping through tiny holes in the bottom of this plate. When you think of like at a park, a bunch of old men sitting, gathering, playing chess and drinking coffee, this is what they are drinking. A single serve, and there's something just classic and personalized about this form factor too. This is made, brewed for me. You know it's fresh. One, it's still piping hot. I love the metal like just conducts that heat as well. Just to remind you that you are dealing with a freshly brewed cup of Joe. Ooh. Thick layer of condensed milk, and then the very concentrated coffee on top. It doesn't look like much, and you think that much sugar, sugary, creamy, to that much coffee, that's gonna be like so sweet, and like you're barely gonna be able to taste the coffee. I know for a fact you will not miss this coffee flavor in here. You can just tell from the color that remains in this drink that like that coffee was like a black sludge for it to like after 50-50 with that super white condensed milk to still have this much color in it.
This is what our kids will look like.
Our first phin coffee here in Vietnam. Oh my gosh. It's like a war in your mouth. You have like the crazy sweetness from the condensed milk and the crazy concentrated coffee. And they're just battling it out. And for a second, the sweetness wins out. It's like, oh yeah, this is a sweet like Starbucks-esque beverage. It's like, no, no, no. This is a coffee hardcore beverage. And they just keep going back and forth. This is only balanced because of how crazy strong that phin coffee is on top, because that sweetness is packing a punch. You would not be able to have this coffee black. Like it would be like a sludge, it would like coat your mouth. Even in this version, like with it cut, it still is a lot. I'm sipping it tiny sips, and that's why like they can give you just that, you know, an inch of coffee and it's still plenty. Because you are not chugging this down. You're taking your time, sipping slowly. That flavor just coats your entire mouth. I feel wired just from like, I was like 4 or 5 sips, feeling it. I can't take credit for lining up the fact that I described this as a war of the condensed milk and this sludgy coffee. But as it turns out, this cafe actually played a significant role in the war efforts, and tucked away under the floorboards here somewhere is an actual network of bunkers and escape routes. Once we are fully caffeinated from this beverage, we will have the opportunity to visit and check out. Whoa! We're in a bunker.
This is hands down our most unique cafe experience. Wandering through the bunkers, we're totally immersed in history, thinking about how much has changed here in the past 50 years and the resilience of the Vietnamese people.
Just a bathroom. Coffee shop. Coffee shop. Coffee shop. Thought about going to this coffee shop, but it's only so-so. Our last spot is Little Hanoi Egg Coffee, which was actually recommended to us by one of you guys, one of our local subscribers. And we had to, of course, get the egg coffee. Egg coffee is one of our favorite new things we've tried while we've been in Vietnam. And this egg coffee, we have been told, is the best egg coffee in all of this city. Egg coffee is the delicious, dark, rich, super strong Vietnamese coffee here on the bottom. And then this mixture of egg and sugar here on the top. Start off with just a sip of the egg foam itself, and it is incredible. This is like meringue coffee, which is like it's a dream come true. Like, this is everything I could ever want. But that was just the foam. This time I'm gonna get a little bit of the coffee as well. That combination of the sweet, creamy egg, this like delicious meringue, sweet, creamy flavor, with the super strong dark coffee on the bottom is phenomenal. When we're going to cafes and getting hot coffee and saying how phenomenal it is, it already has the fact that it's hot kind of working against it. We are never not sweating here in Vietnam. So the fact that we are getting hot coffee and being like so in love and enamored with the flavor, like, wow. We've had egg coffee before, but this egg foam is so much like richer and denser. This cafe is called Little Hanoi because egg coffee is from Hanoi in northern Vietnam. In northern Vietnam, milk was hard to come by, especially if you didn't have a lot of money. So they started using egg and sugar and like Necessity is the birth of some of the greatest innovations, and this is definitely an example of that. This is one of my favorite types of coffee that I've ever had. This is something that I'm going to go home and like make for my family. Absolutely incredible. And thank you for the subscriber that recommended this. This is so delicious. Please comment any other recommendations you guys have while we're in Vietnam in the description below, because you guys have good recs.
Today has been incredible. I had no idea a cafe tour could be so special. From exploring history and century-old traditions to encountering the incredible kindness of strangers. I am so thankful for the experiences today has held. Thank you so much for being part of this adventure. It seriously helps us so much if you could hit that subscribe button and that like button and share this video with someone you think would enjoy it. We'll see you on the next one, and until then, watch this video. YouTube thinks you'll really like it.